Ochuk. And then he had many African people that, they can't wait to make a conversation around South African bashers, because I think we are the leaders of black people. Because if you talk about any other country, you barely get numbers. People barely call in. If you make a show about Zimbabwe, they're not going to come in. Nobody's interested in discussing Zimbabwe, not even Rutendo. So if you talk about Nigeria, nobody's going to call in and discuss the politics of Nigeria or Tinubu. These are insignificant black nations. Nobody cares about them. They are insignificant in the global scale. They're not successful. Now, I've seen similar thing happening to black Americans. I think they're probably the most successful blacks. So people do tend to speak about them. Many people have a lot of opinions about them. And then we fall under the same group with black Americans. I think the most powerful black state on the face of earth. Hence, it's us on places like BRICS, G20, and we've got the biggest stronghold on United Nation. Look, some of what Rutendo said regarding the power dynamics is true. What is not true is the fact that they are bitter that their countries are dysfunctional, their countries are not working, and he rounds that to South Africa because South Africa is the success story in Africa. I would love to see Zimbabwe succeeding. The success of Zimbabwe means the burden is off from South Africa, because currently Zimbabweans are burdening us. I've got no jealousy towards Zimbabwe. Harare can be developed like New York, better than Sandton. I will never be jealous of Zimbabweans. And if South Africa fails, I will never turn around and blame Zimbabwe if they prosper. I will never do that. I'm not a coward. What I hear here, Rutendo is rewriting history, trying to punch out the dots and connect the dots and find a loophole. First of all, there is no record that suggests that South Africa is destabilizing any country on the continent. There's no record of the billionaires that he thumb-sucked from his behind where the sun doesn't even shine, too dark. He thumb-sucked those numbers. There's no any evidence of those numbers. There's no African country that even spent $10 million on South Africa. I'm not even talking billions. You know what is a billion? I'm talking 10 million. These people were poorer than us during apartheid. They barely had anything. We were producing millionaires during apartheid, like Motsepe. Black South Africans had the highest standards of living during apartheid. We had the largest black middle class during apartheid. Why will we need petty money from countries as poor as Zimbabwe, Malawi, Nigeria? Guys, let's be realistic here. However, there are African countries that did offer us a little help, and I can count them with my one left hand, which is Tanzania, Mozambique, Angola, a bit of Ethiopia there as well. Did I mention Zambia? Zambia is there. But these are actual countries that did offer us a help. What was the help? Basically, offering our people a space in the bushes for most part to stay there. Then now you got Zambia that had an office for ANC, for administration, and to be able to communicate globally and then push the awareness of what was happening in South Africa. I can agree to that, Lusaka. Then Tanzania also played a huge role as well. It was our main base on the continent. But then you've got countries like Brazil, Cuba, Russia, China, India, many more. In fact, Russia helped us more than any country on the face of earth, leading Soviet Union. African people, Bantu, like Rutendo, they will always find something to push their misery on South Africans. And this is the story of being the most successful uncle who's born with siblings that are full of failure. You've got sisters that are popping out kids from deadbeat fathers there that they can take care of, and you, the only successful uncle. Everybody's popping out kids there, not responsible for them, and they want to make that problem as if it's your problem. African countries like Zimbabwe actually did little to help us. They couldn't even assist us. We used to cross through Mozambique for most part. It was the safest passage we could go through to Mozambique, Malawi, Tanzania, and so forth as we kept going up. That's what happened. Rutendo now, because Zimbabwe is struggling, they destroyed Rutendo, his tribe and his people. They actually woke up one day and decided that, you know what, we're going to fuck up this country. We don't like the stability that was there. We want to turn this country to the ordinary African nation, no progress whatsoever. We did not advise Zimbabweans to create that riot with the Mzungu people that were there. At the end of the day, Bantu, the struggle of Africa has to be a long-standing struggle. What was built here for 300 years of colonial period cannot be overhauled in less than a decade. the system that is embedded across Africa. It's going to take us long to do that. What the Zimbabweans did with their little IQ, they woke up one day and disrupted the system, and then they paying for that. We Black South Africans did not play a part in that. Black South African companies that are largely owned by the government, that are so successful on the continent, that's not our fault. These companies are just successful as if the same way if Zimbabwe had successful companies owned by the government, they will be spreading across Africa. Same way you can see Dangote Cement is here. He's trading here in South Africa. He's successful. There's Access Bank from Nigeria here. He's successful. Safaricom from Kenya unfortunately failed, but it was welcomed here. We welcome business as usual. We are open for business, but and our success should not be seen as jealousy by other Africans like Rutendo. Rutendo, sorry, my brother, we're not responsible for the failure of Zimbabwe, and we will never take that responsibility. However, we did help your people. Many millions of your people that live here in the country, in a year alone, they use more resources than anything you can record in the history of apartheid when the so-called help that was offered to us. Just in a year, there's more millions of Zimbabweans here using free health care, even getting road funds in exchange. Zimbabweans are being treated way better in South Africa than their own country. They access our schools for free. They are using our resources. They are trading using our infrastructure for free. They even using easy yoga on our electricity. Basically, they stealing our cars. It's a lot. And then they even employed. They generating income, even the economy of Zimbabwe, basically, the middle class in Zimbabwe only exists through South Africa. So if you think we owe you, in 6 months we have paid you anything you think we owe you. Now, Zimbabweans have been living in our country for more than 15 years. If we have to bring in a record of who owes who, even your whole GDP now cannot pay us how much you owe. What you owe us, you owe us in more than hundreds of billions of US dollars. Let's not even say anything about that. I'll pack it there, Bantu, and I guess it's gonna be that and Ganda. Thanks a lot, Bantu.
You forgot to mention the criminality they do, Maboso. Unaliving South Africans on a daily and raping them. You forgot to mention that they spike our roads. Criminals of note, they've got a shitty blood running in them which unalives people. Izinja nje amaZimbabwe, izinja zababulali. No wonder even leadership yabo ibabulalana self eZimbabwe. We inherited nje shitty people in this country.